Welcome to Cartoons and Stories '01, where exciting adventures and fun cartoons come to life. Get ready for a world of imagination.
In a cozy little village, where green rice fields met the bright blue sky, stood a very special plum tree. It was big and old, and everyone loved it. This is Linh. She was a bright and curious little girl who loved spending time under the great plum tree. The tree gave the juiciest, sweetest plums. Linh loved to pick them. When they were perfectly ripe and red, the grown-ups loved the plum tree too. It was a cool, shady place to rest and talk with friends. And the little ones, they thought the plum tree was the best hiding place ever. But one day, Linh was sitting under the tree, and she looked a little bit sad. She was drawing a picture of the plum tree, but she noticed something. The tree didn't have as many plums as it used to, and its leaves looked a little bit tired. Linh gently touched a leaf. It felt a little dry and crumbly. Linh went to her Yaya, her grandmother, who knew everything about the village. "Yaya," she asked, "is the plum tree feeling okay?" Yaya looked at the great plum tree and sighed softly. "Ah," Linh Yaya said, "the plum tree is old. Like us, sometimes old things need a little extra care." Yaya explained that the tree might be thirsty, and its roots might need some extra food. Lin's eyes sparkled. She knew she had to help the great plum tree. The very next morning, bright and early, Linh got to work. She carefully poured water around the thick trunk, giving the thirsty roots a nice drink. Then, Linh asked her friends to help. "Let's give the plum tree a cozy blanket," she said. The children happily gathered fallen leaves and little twigs and made a soft bed around the plum tree's roots. They even pulled away any little weeds that were trying to steal the plum tree's food. Day after day, Linh and her friends took care of the great plum tree. They watered it and kept it clean. Slowly, something started to change. The leaves looked a little greener. And look, tiny little buds started to pop out on the branches. Linh clapped her hands with joy. Her friends were so happy too. The little buds opened up into beautiful white flowers. The plum tree looked like it was covered in snow. Buzz, buzz went the busy bees, collecting sweet nectar from the flowers. Then, the flowers started to fall softly, like a gentle, white rain. Linh and her friends giggled as the soft petals tickled their noses. And look what came next. Tiny little green plums started to grow. Week after week, the little green plums grew bigger and rounder, changing from green to yellow, and finally to a lovely, juicy red. The great plum tree was full of beautiful, ripe red plums, more than anyone had seen in a long time. Linh carefully picked a plump, red plum. It looked so juicy and sweet. Crunch! The plum was so sweet and delicious. Lin's face lit up with joy. The villagers all gathered under the great plum tree, happily picking the sweet, ripe fruit. Yaya smiled at Linh. "You see, little one," she said, "a little care and kindness can make a big difference." Linh smiled back, feeling happy and proud that she had helped the great plum tree. Everyone used the plums to make yummy things, sweet jam, refreshing juice, and all sorts of tasty treats. The children played happily under the shady branches, pretending to be little plum blossoms dancing in the breeze. Linh sat under the plum tree and drew in her notebook again. This time, the tree looked strong and healthy, full of life and sweet plums. Her drawing was full of happy colors, just like the great plum tree itself. As the sun went down, the great plum tree glowed golden, surrounded by the happy people of the village. The plum tree stood tall and strong, a special friend to everyone in the village. Lin knew that if they continued to care for the great plum tree, it would continue to care for them. The wind whispered secrets through the leaves of the great plum tree. A little bird landed on a branch and sang a happy song to the plum tree. As the sky grew darker, the villagers carried their baskets full of sweet plums back to their homes. Lin gave Yaye a warm hug under the gentle branches of the plum tree. Even when the village was asleep, the great plum tree stood tall under the starry sky. The next morning, tiny dewdrops sparkled on the plums and leaves, and soon, Lin was back under her favorite tree, ready for another day. She sat in the cool shade, listening to the happy sounds of the village waking up. The great plum tree was happy, and so was Lin. Sometimes, travelers would stop to rest under the great plum tree and would be offered a sweet, juicy plum. The children made up fun games using the fallen plum blossoms as pretend coins and decorations. Yaya would tell Lin wonderful old stories under the plum tree, its leaves whispering like voices from long ago. Lin even learned to climb some of the strong, low branches, seeing her village from a new, higher view. On hot, sunny days, the great plum tree gave the best, coolest shade for everyone to enjoy. Even as the weather changed a little, the great plum tree stayed strong and steady, always there for the village. Lin and her friends learned about all the little bugs and creatures that made their home in the plum tree, watching them with curious eyes. When the plum blossoms bloomed, the air all around the village smelled sweet and lovely. The great plum tree became a symbol of the village, strong, happy, and full of nature's gifts. Under the great plum tree, life in the village continued, peaceful and happy, a beautiful story unfolding day after day. The end.